Hi guys, I have to question the decision of broadcasters like the BBC when they invite on people to their shows to defend something they clearly don't understand, or if they do, they lie about. Alex Phillips, a former member of Nigel Farage's Brexit party, appeared on Newsnight alongside Alastair Campbell, where the two clashed over Brexit. Phillips here tried to convince the audience that Britain needed to get its sovereignty back, and that the EU imposed laws on Britain when it was a member. When this was pointed out to her as a fallacy, did she apologise and clarify? No, she accused Campbell of being rude. When you lose the argument, attack the other side. Is this typical right-wing behaviour or typical Brexiteer behaviour? You decide.
And of course, public opinions and attitudes shift. I don't think all of a sudden people have fallen out of love with Brexit. I think a lot of things have happened since Brexit, and people have fallen out of love with politics. They actually don't feel like they can trust their politicians to deliver. It's been 7 years since that.
What? Okay, you made promises. You said things would get better. You can't blame all politicians because you lied about things. You said the economy would improve because of Brexit. You can't say after, well, it didn't improve because we didn't get the right Brexit. No, you didn't say at the time, this is the type of Brexit that we need to have. You just said we need to leave the EU and everything will be better. But continue.
That vote. And we're finding that, in total, actually, about 260,000 EU laws are in UK statutes, and they'd find 4,000 down the back of the sofa they wanted to do something about.
Yeah, but they're laws that were passed by UK parliaments.
Well, they were, but they weren't able to be properly scrutinised. No amendments were able to be. No amendments were able to be made. Those laws were not made by the British people for the British people. Of course they weren't. I've sat in that parliament. I was elected to it. Don't try and pretend I don't know how the EU system works.
I'm talking about our parliament enacts EU law.
Of course it does.
They are
but
not
it doesn't
EU
really
laws
have
passed
any.
down. No,
it's
we're not
put into UK statute. I'm not actually denying that. But what the point of this is...
So don't say that they're laws that have been imposed on us by Brussels. They've been enacted by
there was
UK
no way as a
Parliament
member of the EU. There was no way as a member of the EU to reject them, and you know that as well as
your
I do.
Your MPs here could. That's what made sovereignty here.
We're going down a rabbit hole, and this is a pointless debate.
Because you all talk such rubbish when you come on these programmes.
Excuse me, that's just unnecessarily rude.
And there we have it. There we have it. So, you've been exposed to have been wrong. These were EU laws that were enacted in Britain. MPs in Britain decided whether they would be enacted or not. And in the European, when the UK was a member, it had a veto, so it could have rejected these things. It was part of the decision-making process. It helped write these laws. Of course, it was going to be implemented in Britain because Britain was part of the decision-making process. And when she's exposed to being an idiot, what does she do? She accuses the other side of being rude. There you have it. She knows she's wrong, but instead of saying, actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, I'm wrong there. No, her defense is, you're being rude. Absolutely pathetic.
It's true. I'm sorry.
You haven't actually let me talk, so if you would let me talk, perhaps you might agree with me.
Well, let her finish, and then I will come back to you.
Because I don't think you're, particularly being a good contributor right now, because you're just...
He's exposing your lies, and you're calling him a bad contributor. This is what they're all about. They don't actually have an argument. It's all just rhetoric. It's all just fluff. We didn't get... The reason Brexit isn't being a success is because we didn't get the right type of Brexit. Now, we didn't tell people back in 2016 what Brexit would actually be. So now that we're not in power, we're sitting on the sidelines, we can say, well, this isn't the type of Brexit that the people voted for or that I campaigned for.
Just being essentially rude.
Make the point.
Now, what I think a lot of people, when they voted for Brexit, wanted was essentially this country to take its future in its own hands and to make decisions that would benefit our industries, that would make decisions that benefit our communities, that would actually lift the wages of those who are the lowest paid, to actually secure our border.
What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? How have wages gone since Brexit? They've gone down. Inflation, as a consequence of Brexit, has made people poorer. What's wrong with these people?
Borders, which is something else that's not been done, to actually enable our fishermen to have a self-sustaining industry and actually make a profit from it. None of these things have actually been delivered. None of these things have been delivered because, frankly, we've got a government that treats Brexit like a gimmick and doesn't have any courage or conviction to see it through. And
Rishi Sunak is a Brexiteer. Rishi Sunak is a Brexiteer.
Purportedly.
Boris Johnson eventually was a Brexiteer.
Was he? And I don't remember seeing Rishi Sunak holding many Corix boards and taking selfies on the campaign trail. So
see, Rishi Sunak isn't a real Brexiteer. Like, who is the only real Brexit? It's like a no true Scotsman fallacy. You know, Boris Johnson isn't a real Brexiteer. Liz Truss isn't a real Brexiteer. Rishi Sunak isn't a real Brexiteer. So you can't actually get Brexit until you have a real Brexiteer in charge. You know, we had this argument back in 2018, 2019. You need to get rid of, you know, Theresa May because she didn't believe in Brexit enough. And you got Boris Johnson. Well, now we're arguing whether Boris Johnson was a real Brexiteer. It's pathetic, once again.
I would actually deny that he might be as much of a Brexiteer as he says he is. But frankly speaking, we're in a situation now where the government should be actually relishing the opportunity to take control of various laws and being able to put into place things, like I said, state aid into critical sectors. We're seeing right now AstraZeneca moving to Ireland.
Made that point.
It's like, why has AstraZeneca moved to Ireland? You know, you're sitting there, arguing that, well, we didn't get the right type of Brexit. If we got the right type of Brexit, AstraZeneca would have stayed in Britain. Her and Nigel Farage wanted a harder type of Brexit than the one that is currently in place. Where do you think AstraZeneca would have stayed if they said, we can't, it's even more difficult to import raw materials to produce medicines, and it's more difficult to export the finished product. It's even more difficult to get access to the workers we need. AstraZeneca moved to Ireland in part because of a lower tax regime. But now they have access to the workers they need without the problems that are imposed in Britain. Now they're able to import the raw materials they need without the restrictions that Britain has. And it's able to export without the restrictions of being outside the single market. Like, are these Brexiteers this dumb to bring up AstraZeneca? If we had the Brexit we wanted, we could have kept AstraZeneca. Then she went on to talk about manufacturing. Manufacturing has been in decline since the 1980s. How would Brexit, being outside the single market, help manufacturing? It's all rhetoric. And it's very easy for people sitting on the sidelines who'll never be in government to say, this isn't the type of Brexit that people voted for. We could have had a better Brexit. Absolutely ridiculous. And once again, back to the main point here, she doesn't have an argument. Her position has been exposed as based on lies and falsehoods, and her response to that is, you're being rude. Why was she invited on? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.